Did you know that the Bible doesn't just have rules about sexuality, but it also tells a story about God's design for sex? That story begins in Genesis chapter 2, when human beings are created male and female, and it says that they were naked and unashamed. At the end of Genesis chapter 2, we read that Moses writes, "For this reason, a man will leave his father and mother and be united to his wife, and the two will become one flesh." So what's happening there? It's the institution of marriage, including the one flesh sexual union between a husband and wife. Now, if we fast forward all the way to the end of the Bible, do you know that there's a wedding there as well? That there's a union there as well? That there's bridal language in Revelations 2? But the bridal language there and the wedding there is not between a man and a woman, it's between Christ and the church. And we see this played out in great imagery in Revelation, that we're meant to look forward to this wedding feast of the Lamb. And so we've got a wedding in Genesis and a wedding in Revelation. And what we sometimes miss is that throughout the whole of Scripture, the Old Testament and New Testament, there's a story that connects those two weddings. And Paul links that very specifically in Ephesians chapter 5. In Ephesians 5, Paul appears to be teaching on marriage, which he is, but towards the end of his teaching, he goes back and he quotes what Moses said in Genesis. He says, "For this reason, a man will leave his father and mother and be united to his wife, and the two will become one flesh." And then Paul adds, "But this is a mystery. I'm actually referring to Christ and the church." You see what Paul did there? He took the wedding in Genesis 2 and he links it to the wedding in Revelation. What we need to realize is this just doesn't appear in two verses. When we read the Bible from cover to cover, Old Testament and New Testament, we see that all throughout Scripture, male, female, the covenant of marriage, including one flesh union, and sexuality and faithfulness, were created to be a form of revelation. They're giving us a picture, a very tangible human picture that shows us the nature of God's love with His covenant people. When we start to realize that, all of a sudden, we again don't just see rules in the Bible about sexuality, but we see a story that tells us the why God cares so much about sexuality. Why does He care about it? Because He created it to be a very powerful picture, helping us understand the nature of His love.